Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard another Monday of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our great friends at Endeavor Hospitality. Make sure you get your WOW Club. Join at any of your app stores. Make sure you look that up, please, and join us on there, as that covers a lot of the great places that we talk about here. Southern Stone Restaurant, Cabello, Feast Market and Cellar, BB's Marketplace. But welcome in here on this Monday. Keegan Nickerson sitting in for John. And not much to talk about over the weekend. Nothing seemed to happen, huh?
No news breaks, no press releases, nothing.
Yeah, I was, boy, what an action-packed weekend. And I'm not talking about the women's championship game last night in which South Carolina whipped the crap out of UConn, which you don't see that very often. UConn just getting put into a headlock and just given the noogies all night, basically.
Yeah.
But we've got that to talk about. Thad Matta is moving on as he is heading back to Butler. A lot of homecomings. Thad Matta going back to Butler. Sean Miller going back to Xavier. Thad Matta had a Xavier connection. Cincinnati Reds. We'll talk a little about the Reds. IU baseball. The portal. What's going on with the portal? That's just another. We'll talk about that. Another reason Another reason why I think that not only Trace Jackson Davis, but Race Thompson may not be leaving either. So. Plenty to get to. Appreciate you guys joining along. How are you? And Keegan, how was your weekend?
It was good. Spent a lot of time at Bart Kaufman Stadium. One of the sloppier 3-game series I've seen on both sides of the field from Northwestern and Indiana, and then the Hoosiers just can't bring it out. But it was crazy. I got out of church Sunday at about 11:30 and the Thad Matta news breaks. And I go and I do my write-up on that for the Hoosier.com. And then once I hit submit, I see everything go down with Xavier Johnson. So that was about an hour stretch of a lot of Indiana basketball news. So it was pretty adrenalizing.
Yeah, and so we'll have that to deal with, of course. But, the Xavier Johnson thing, we'll talk plenty about that. If it was under any other circumstance, had it been nothing else had happened, I'd have said, wow, what an idiot. But I've been an idiot. I think back being 18, 19, 20 years old. Yeah. So no alcohol or drugs involved, which is a very, very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Parker Stewart was in the vehicle. That does not surprise me. But the thing that tells me is I just have my doubts that Xavier can lead this team. It took him nearly all season on the floor to be able to do it. That happened after Northwestern, after a very, very selfish maneuver, which damn near derailed the season. Mm-hmm. Now, here you have another instance of complete and utter selfishness, of not giving a crap. 90 miles an hour down Walnut? Dude, that's a very, very pedestrian busy area. I'm not sure where he was, if maybe he was further out on Walnut. I don't know, but I just don't see that someone like that can lead this team. You can't lead yourself. You can't lead your own life. So how can you be expected to be a team leader on the floor, to be counted on? You can't be counted on. You've showed that time and time again. You simply cannot be counted on to do the right thing or to not do the wrong thing. That carried over on the court a lot. It seemed like, Keegan, we were always talking about that, and he got around to doing the right things at the end, But now here he is, boom, back in, and you're with a guy who basically is not welcome back on the team, and Parker
Yeah.
Stewart. There's a reason for that, and man, it makes you start to wonder, well, what kind of grasp is do they have on this team right now?
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult situation, and when you got a bunch of guys from different backgrounds transferring in, it's hard as a coach to kind of know who you're kind of dealing with on your team, I guess you could say, and try to like get a grasp on everything, like you mentioned. But you talked about the going 90 on Walnut, but then it's the not stopping when he was first asked to stop, and then it's the running the stop sign, and then it's the switching the seats. So as all this stuff comes out, it just gets worse and worse, and it starts to look bleaker and bleaker that he's gonna be in an Indiana uniform next season, if I could say.
Charlie is trying to join us here. We can get Charlie on. That would be good, especially right now. What a perfect person to talk about this. You got that right. Charlie Miller, you there yet?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hey, buddy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Better than Xavier.
Yeah, and I was just talking about that. I don't know if you heard what I'm saying, but it just gives me great pause that he's your senior coming back. This is the guy who's supposed to lead this team. We saw the problems last year that it took quite a while for him to come around to the point of being a leader, and then the Northwestern thing happens, and now this, and I have my doubts that that's the guy that I want leading my team, because he continues to make bad decisions to put his team in a bad position.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I'm gonna give you two sides of this, Jim. It's unfortunate because you got to put in consideration the infraction that happened again right before the Northwestern game, and then to me, the weight it had on the season, to me, almost. I think that was a pivotal game. And now you take an off season, you're not even out of your off season within 3 weeks, and this happens, right? And then, the way it happens and the story behind it. I saw the gentleman was talking before about all the things that were happening. It's one thing to, resist arrest, but now you're switching seats. Why were you switching seats? Were you under the influence of any type of drug or alcohol or whatever it was?
Here's the stupid thing is they didn't just try to switch seats. They got out and walked around the car.
Right.
Have enough sense to stay in the damn car and try to get away with it.
Yeah. And that's, and that's the, I think it puts Coach Woodson in a very tough situation. Right, because now, for me, you look at now the play of Xavier Johnson, and you are expecting him to be one of your leaders. But now, do you want this person with character flaws, which everyone has, but like consistent, leading your team, leading young players? Okay, do you want that? Right, that's a question that you have to ask. Because if you do, you're gonna, just be transparent. You're gonna draw smoke around it and say, okay, it was an infraction. It was a young kid. We all make mistakes, and we're gonna all move on. If you don't, well, you're gonna move sharply on it, and it won't even be, a next year for him, because you just can't afford it. So, 20-something-year-old on the campus of Bloomington, the season's over. Whether you're around spring break time or not, I get it, got it. But what happened with the law, getting the city involved, getting the school involved. Now Coach Woodson has a tough decision to me to make.
Yeah, David says his inability to make good choices goes back to when he was at Pitt, and it definitely does. So that's what bothers you. This is not a first, a second time,
right?
And with him supposed to be your senior going into next year, you think you're solidified in that spot. Now you're not. Now maybe you're not. I don't know. I don't know what Mike's going to do here. But Keegan had said, we were talking off air, and even for the other positions like Race and Trace, they have not been very active in the portal. They've not been talking to people per report. So we'll see if that changes or not. But I mean, that's just from a teammate standpoint. If you're a teammate, I have to put you in that shoes.
Yeah,
What are you seeing right now? If you're like going, damn, man, what's up, man?
Jim, I'm gonna be honest, man. I mean, from a teammate, I probably knew about this. I probably knew about this more than just the one time he got caught. And just be real, right? I mean, this is behavior. This is habit. This isn't like, oh, I've never done this before. I mean, it's followed you. So, you just hadn't got caught, or, you were safe and you had a story to tell, right? It was a funny locker room story. So now what I know now, if I'm a teammate, I'm like, man, I'm expecting you to be a leader. I need exemplary behavior, right? Because that's going to affect recruiting. You got to think about that. That's a domino effect. And I know some players are probably on them right now, holding them accountable. Right? Yeah, you can apologize all day right now, but I mean that apology is not going to go anywhere near acceptance right now. A lot of them.
No, because you've got a recruiting class coming in, and
right.
The parents exactly. Of those guys, what are they? They're sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is their starting point guard."
Right.
This is not who I want my son with. Oh, this is the guy that got suspended last year at Nebraska. Before the Northwestern game.
Right.
An easy win, walkover game that turned into a loss and nearly cost the season.
Right.
They have to be thinking of that, and forget about the parents, the recruits themselves. These recruits today, they're not dumb. They're smart. They want to win. They're coming here to win. They're coming to be a part of something better, not right. A part of dysfunction.
That's right. And that's the part right there where you have to win back the locker room. It's going to be a locker room divided. You're going to have some people root for him underneath, their breath because they don't want to be seen. They want to kind of be passive about it. You're going to have some people just adamant, like, I don't want any part of that. You got to make better choices, especially if you're going to have the ball in your hand. How's that going to affect your decision making when we're playing, against, a tough team? So, it's a tough pickle, man. When you have infractions like this, it really sours what you're looking to build, especially when you have the season you just had, where a lot of those games. I'm not saying he was blamed, but he had the ball in his hand. So you're thinking about that. Where was he mentally? What was going on with him? Did he get enough sleep? Is he getting enough rest? Were they dealing with things internally that they just kind of kept underneath the wraps? You start thinking about all that stuff, and again, it's a domino effect. The parents, like you said, man, people watch this stuff now. This stuff is on social media. Hey, you go to school here. You better be careful. Don't hang out with him. Don't be around him. Now that's tough because that's your point guard. This is a guy that's gonna have the ball in his hand 85% of the time, trying to get you the ball. I mean, so it's so many. I think it's going to be an easy choice for them, but they have to really weigh, the play of Xavier Johnson versus the character in the locker room, off the court. Is it worth, suspending? Is it worth, the worst infraction, obviously, or just, booting them off the team?
Yeah, it's definitely a pickle, as you put it. Without question.
Yeah.
Also over the weekend, Jalen Hood-Schifino won another national championship. Speaking of which, one of the guys coming in down at Montverde. So congratulations to him. But and you have to think about those guys that are coming in. That's not the influence you want on your team going forward. And that's and while he's here, that's the influence that is here.
That's right. That's the influence, and I want to share this, Jim, real quick. Going to a school like a Mount Verde, which is you're going to have more of this type of discussion, Jim, I'm not saying you don't have this at regular high schools, but a lot of the guys that go to the Mount Verdes in the world, you have these kind of discussions often. You have panels about this. You bring in people who actually were, got kicked off a team, or something happened dramatically, and they had to step aside, and they come talk to these guys about this. So to win a national championship in the fashion he's done, you think he'll be he might be a little more mature about making decisions, especially because think about it, you're on your own. You're down in Florida. You're not where you're from. You stand in a dorm, so you're kind of used to living a college athlete lifestyle. So you just hope that they're able to make better decisions and look at what's happening. Not again, beat Xavier up, support him as much as possible, but don't condone the behavior.
This is the first arrest, I think. Keegan may have to jump in on this, but I'm thinking you have to go back and to when Crean was here, and Yogi used the fake ID to get in the bar. Hannah Mosk Perea got a reckless driving right there at the same time. But since then, it's been I don't recall anything until now. So like, it's a big deal for a player to get arrested.
That's a huge deal. That's huge, especially you talking about. I mean, that's like at least 8, 9 years. I mean, if about right. I mean, that's huge. That's kudos to the program for holding accountability to the players and staff, and people having integrity. But unfortunately, it happens, man. I mean,
and I'll say this, and not because I was there all the time, but I know that back in the day, players have never been angels. They're students, man. They're students.
Right.
This is different here. But anyway, even they were smart enough to do their stuff in a way to put safeguards out in front.
There you go.
We're gonna be here, or this okay, I was gonna say X is gonna be driving, but I didn't mean that. This person is gonna drive, or hey, we got people we can call if stuff happens.
Right.
But that's not driving 90 miles an hour down Walnut, man. That's getting out and maybe having too much to drink or this or that. I'm not talking about driving 90 miles. I can't wrap my head around somebody driving 90 miles an hour down Walnut and then trying to get away from the police here in this town. It ain't happening, man.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, isn't that like the police headquarters over there somewhere?
right, not too far from the square, right off of College.
It's right there. It's right there. I mean, I'm not trying to laugh at it, but I'm like, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you can hear a rat piss. Excuse my language, man.
That is true.
I mean,
you think quiet. You can't hear a Dodge Charger going 90 miles an hour?
No, exactly.
Oh, exactly. Man.
You're going to hear that. So
we got to take a quick break. Charlie, are you back for the next segment?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We got lots more coming up from the Wow Club. Hey, make sure you go sign up at your app store. Get your Wow Club card. It saves you tons and provides you with all kinds of ways to earn cash. You can new signups get $10 off when they spend 20. Every birthday you get money. Just for dining in, you get $10 off. Wow Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend sent directly to your mobile phone. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
It was Yogi in 2013, 2014.
So you're all right. So you're not doing commercials. You're just going to time us.
Yeah, I'm going to time you and then add it all in for Evansville after.
All right. Well, yeah. How are you? How was your weekend, Charlie?
It was good. It was good, man. Watched some Final Four Saturday. Good games. Went on a hiking trail with my wife and kids. So, how was yours?
Good, sir. UNC, Kansas. It's kind of funny because I was talking about how, the parity, all the parity we've had this year, all the upsets. But at the end of the day, who are we looking at?
The
Kansas
true blood.
and North Carolina.
I always say the true bloods. I know we call the true bloods, man. I mean,
That's right.
Go back to the last 15 years. I mean, you can pretty much say Gonzaga, Villanova, Baylor, Kansas, Kentucky. You can pretty much say, they find a way.
Well, look at it. I mean, hell, look at the entire Final Four: UNC, Duke, Kansas, and Villanova.
Right.
That is that the most? That's probably the winningest amount of national titles ever in a Final Four.
I would say, yeah.
Minus some that UCLA may have been in late.
Uh-huh.
That's just funny. All right, so UNC's got 5, I believe. Duke has 5, or they have 6. They have 5. Villanova's got 3. Kansas has 3, I think, or 2. How was your weekend, man? Charlie?
Mine? Oh, it was good. Yeah,
y'all just went hiking. You went hiking?
Went to this little park, a little trail, and just walked out there. And then my daughter had like this circus competition. She does silks that went well, and went to my son's flag football game. And he can't grab a flag yet, but he knows how to run people out of bounds. That was pretty cool to watch.
Back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Monday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends at the Wild Network, Southern Stone Restaurant here in Bloomington. Make sure you stop by Patterson and Rogers, home of the Coaches Show this past year. Joined now by Charlie Miller, our good friend, with us. Charlie, I was just thinking, how does, after being suspended for last summer, the deal with Northwestern and all the stuff that went along with before that, how do you bring him back?
Well, again, it's going to be, you're going to have, again, to me, you're going to have a division, because you're going to have some people that's going to be adamant in the program that's going to say, you know what, we can't have this, as we are looking to get back to a level of excellence, and anything off the court you just don't want to put up with. You're going to have some people say, you know what, he's a young person, give him a chance. They all make mistakes. He just got caught. It's going to be divided. To me, that's the only way I can see it. And you're going to have a serious talk with him. And I'm looking at both sides of this. If you're going to bring him back, to say, hey, that you have now a zero tolerance policy. Any small thing you do, you're gone. You just can't keep band-aiding this. I don't know what happened at Pitt. There's a reason you transferred. I don't know if there was off the court stuff, but you don't want that following you everywhere you go. Then at the same time, what you got to think about too is, like we talked about before, with recruiting, are the coaches soft on infractions like this? Because now that could turn against you. You know what? This hasn't happened with us at Purdue. Our guys don't do that. Look at what they're doing. So you got to really think about now the wordplay that can be out there to a player or parent. What clippings went out to somebody in recruiting to say, hey, look what's going on in Bloomington. You sure you want to be down there? Right? You sure you want that? So it's like all the little psychological games that you could play. And you give, now we're giving people material. Right. To me, it's a tough decision to make. I don't think it's as easy as say he's on the team with, conditions, or he's off the team and we're not gonna put up with it. It's kind of like a mixed bag right now, Jim, for me.
Yeah, Sid says IU did not need this on top of the coaching mess. Curfew problems does not make the coach look like he's in control. That's the thing that I was really leaning towards. You had this guy, your senior leader, do what he did at Northwestern, which damn near derailed the season, and now, and you stand behind him,
right?
And now he does this. What does that do to the coach, the relationship between the coach and the player? What does that do between the trust of the coach and player? What does that do between the trust in the team and this senior leader?
That's exactly it. And that's what I was getting at. Now it looks like the coaches don't have control. It's almost like you're turning a blind eye to this. Hey, look. I mean, if I'm gonna put myself in this, I would take it that all the coaches knew more things that we did as players than we probably gave them credit for. But yet,
at least the assistant coaches did.
Right. Well, exactly. Right. And then, I don't want to go back to yesteryear and talk about this, that, and other, but you are right. Right. They knew a lot about it. Okay. They knew a lot. And what you don't want is you don't want to take a non-response from the coaches to be a sign of weakness, which is not. Okay. Because I know they're dealing with it. I know they're on his case right now. I know he's heard it. I know he's feeling it. I know he's embarrassed. I know he's ashamed. I get it all. But how many of these can you have? Because now it's like, when's the next one coming? Right? Not if, when is the next one coming?
Exactly, because this is a pretty good this is worse than what happened at Northwestern.
Man,
had this happened during the season, it would have been even worse than that. But the transgression itself, this is worse than just breaking a curfew. You put people's lives in danger, man.
Yes,
I can't imagine. Golly, there's just those cross streets on Walnut. I mean,
and the thing about it too, let's also talk about this. This is also why, this is more of a black eye for, the student athlete. What if he's not a student athlete? We don't hear about this. This young man goes to jail. This young man will be tried for a felon as a felon. This whether it's an infraction or not, that goes way beyond that, or he spends time in jail or whatever, pays a fine. This is the black eye you give a student athlete, because it's like, okay, is there a favor in this? This is what you got to put in mind. Did you do that knowing you were in Bloomington to say, okay, what's Monroe PD going to do to me? Right? What are they going to do? Right? It's like, do you do a bold move like that with that in mind? That's also something you got to put in mind now. Easy to say at the age of 45, Jim. Easy to say, man. Easy to say.
I was thinking about that very thing yesterday. I'm like, all right, go back, stop, go back and put yourself. And it wasn't necessarily about this; it was something else. And I'm like, going, yeah, I see. I'm like, I just started laughing at myself. I'm like, you better shut up.
That's what I'm saying. Like, man, look. I said it earlier. That's why I was like, I just try to be transparent. Been there, done that. May not have been done what he did, but you had those you had those moments like, wow, right? And again, you're young, you're on campus, you're on your own, you're becoming an adult. It's a funny story, right? But
also you have to realize that these guys are not normal people.
That's right. That's right.
And by that, what I mean is obviously there's a different standard that they're held to. especially now that we're talking NIL and all this stuff.
Yep.
These guys are making business deals with people.
Right.
And if you have an NIL deal, I promise you, these people don't want you going out and getting pulled over for doing 90 miles an hour going down Walnut in the middle of Bloomington.
That's right.
They don't want you in a car with someone doing 90 miles an hour going down Walnut.
Right.
So there's a lot of other things now that are going to be coming into play for the student athletes that you would think would keep them on their highest lookout of not making mistakes. But Xavier just doesn't seem like he is really adopted into being an Indiana. It's just the next stop for him. It seems like at some point.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and I think that's also one of the things with the NIL that you're going to probably start doing some training on, some character wellness training on, not only how to handle the media, but how to conduct yourself off the court at all times, especially if you're under someone else's sponsorship and that's supporting you. Right, you want to support a brand. It'll help you. I think it'll help you grow up a little quicker if you are thinking about those decisions. I just know I keep this image, and it's funny, and I share this story, and this is the truth. I had a workout yesterday. I had a young lady who her grandmother showed up at the workout, and I mean, she's a fourth grader, Jim, and she shot the ball well. I'm like, wow. I'm like, what is this? I was like, what was that? As soon as her grandmother left, it was as if she couldn't shoot anymore. What happened? It wasn't about the shots going in the hole. I said, what happened to your focus? She said, well, I always try to impress my grandma. Okay, I got it. Let's pretend she's here. Knock down the next 3 shots. See, she's always with you. Always in your head, right? Always in your head. So guess what? I got that from Coach Knight. I remember going to the movies and Coach Knight would say, Charlie, he would say this to me and walk off. I know you're going to the movies tonight. Pretend I'm behind you. Would you do it? And he'll just walk off. And I keep that in my head. And I keep that. Now, I'm no saint, but I keep that image of him in my head before I do something I have to question.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about you and Coach Knight at the movies ordering popcorn. Who's getting butter?
Oh, man, listen, I saw him. I would see him sometimes. I would see Bob Hamill. He's not awkward, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing old Bob Hamill at the movies, but I'm like, with my girlfriend, whatever. Like, man, I can't. I gotta move now. I don't even want to see this movie no more. I'm for real, man. It's so funny. It's funny, like looking at Coach Knight, and then seeing Bob Hamill. How do you have an interest in the movie I'm watching?
Yeah, oh my God, are you kidding me? What movie was it?
Man, I have no idea, but literally, he would say, "I know you're going to the movies tonight."
Oh my God, it's funny.
He said, before you do it, pretend I'm watching. And just walk off. And he's just a walk off. So that's the burning image I have in my head on a lot of things for integrity.
Oh man. Philip's asking, will the NCAA suspend him regardless of where he plays? You know what? I think the NCAA has enough trouble now.
Yeah. That's going to be the other thing.
This kind of stuff, they'll leave this in the hands of the teams because at the end of the day, any felonies are going to be knocked down to misdemeanors. He's not going to get convicted of any felonies. He'll probably do some, whatever. Like anybody else. I mean, it's not like the stuff doesn't happen to anybody else. It's not like, it's a big deal, but I don't want to go out and act like he robbed a bank here.
Right.
And I'm not. It's just the convergence of everything, and that's the problem. X, and I'm like, I don't know. So before in your mind, does X remain on this team?
Right now, yes, man. I mean, because it's again, you're selfish. 20-something-year-old. I remember being, I can only put myself in the shoes. I remember being that selfish 21-year-old. The world revolves around me. you are a celebrity on campus in that area, anywhere surrounding Monroe County. You feel that, you know that, you play with that, you're at a traditional school, all those things are there, and you're hoping and wishing that that privilege of being an Indiana basketball player is going to help you. And I'm hoping he learns from this. I really do, right? I mean, I just really do, because he got caught. I'm not trying to bring anybody in, but I can tell you, just like you said earlier, man. You got to put safeguards around you if you're going to hang out that thing. You got to do certain things. I get it. You're a young athlete. I get it.
Kelvin with a great question, just flat out. Is it fair to call this IU program undisciplined? We look back at Northwestern, and I don't believe that all 5 of those guys were together. So I believe that they had kind of gone off and done their own thing. So you had multiple people doing breaking team rules, and now a guy who was in the midst of it and who had hurt the team the most has done it yet again.
Well, it takes time to develop a culture. It sounds great when you're in the season, but it takes time because you really don't know. I mean, heck, I don't know the assistant coaches that well. Yeah, it takes time to build relationships. It takes time, and you're trying to build culture on the fly, and you're hoping they're locking in. You're going to see slips like this, and this is a part of building a culture. I don't think they're undisciplined. I think this is the growing pains of building a culture.
What pressure? What pressure after what he did? Mike Woodson made the tough decision of suspending everyone at that Northwestern game. He's got an even tougher decision on him now.
That's why I say it's going to be tougher. Because again, you got to think about your future. If you stand ground and say, we're not going to have this, and now this is about also saving face for future recruiting, and then players coming in and say, okay, man, they had their second leading scorer, kicked off the team for this infraction. Man, I gotta come in. I gotta make sure I'm upright. That's sending a signal. Or is it going to be a situation where you say, hey, it happens. Let's get better from it. I'm on your side. I believe in you. I believe you can do better. I can help you. Are we going to take that Jerry Jones approach of saving and helping and rescuing? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, there happens to be Nigel Pack is in the portal right now. An Indy kid who got away that Archie did not recruit, went to Kansas State, had a unbelievable start, averaged, I think, over 18 points a game. That was like, oh, well, there's no place for him in Indiana. And does Mike Woodson want to mix up yet again and have everybody new running his offense new? Because you'd have CJ Gunn in, it was new. Well, you'd have Jalen Hood-Schifino coming in who's new. And if X wasn't here and he was replaced, they would be new. The only constant would be Trey Galloway as a backup point guard, but that would put them in a precarious position at point guard if he were to go away.
I think Coach Woodson's approach is still the same. We're going to go after the players that are available, and there's nobody who has a solidified spot. We're going to keep guys competitive, especially now with the transfer portal. I think you have to, because the players have that same right. They have that same right. So I think you go after the best available players. I don't know if we're at a place, Jim, we could say we need to go for the best fit. We already have a 1, 2, 3. I think you got to go with the best players. And then if you go after somebody who's a point guard, that's going to just push, Xavier. And now you make decisions like this, that might push you on the bench. But that might just push you straight off the starting 5 until where now you like the 8th or 9th man coming in. Now you got another choice to make. So I think it's going to be more of that than anything else. Finding the best players available, and you just hope that it does fit the slots of, scoring power and scoring. To me, an offensive awareness that you're going to probably miss if several guys are going to be missing from your team that were impactful players last year.
Mike says that one constant this season has been Parker. Every discipline issue Parker has been involved with. He didn't know if, I don't. Well, he's on his way out, but he was in the vehicle here. But I don't know that he was a ringleader of any kind. So I think he's just kind of a go along kid.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him. And these guys are just not making good decisions. And that's a problem because Indiana had done such a great job. The coaches, I think about that all the time. You remember back in the days when not in Indiana, but everywhere, student athletes getting arrested nonstop. It was like, what the heck? And that was no longer the case. I mean, you see it every now and then, every couple of years, but I mean, hell, how do you not with that many people? I mean, that's going to happen. But this one was one that was completely unnecessary and untimely. And let's go see how that turns out, but we'll see. Brother, I appreciate you as always. I hope you have another great day in the classroom.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys, and I do. We're going to play some tag games today, man, so I look forward to it.
Charlie Miller joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Make sure you stop in when you're here and get your Wow Club card. Hey, we're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hey, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie.
Hi, guys.
All righty.
Back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, everybody, welcome back here on this Monday. Indiana Sports Speed Radio coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends from, you know where, Southern Stone, plenty of other great places like Cabello, BB's Market, BB's Marketplace is the former wagon wheel in Bloomington, and it has just been upgraded and upgraded. You talk about getting some incredible meats. You need to go online because you can order just like that place out in Nebraska. Same thing, much better, closer, and it's in Bloomington. So there's that. Welcome back. Keegan Nicholson with us. Keegan from thehoosier.com. A lot of basketball still to talk about for Indiana, unfortunately, and that's not always a good thing. Final Four also tonight, the championship game between North Carolina and Kansas. And I can't remember if I've talked to Charlie about this on the air or if we were in the break, but with all the talk of parity and the upsets, which was great, it was incredible. At the end of the day, look who was in the Final Four. North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, and Villanova. Winners of how many national championships? Villanova has won twice in the last 4 or 5 years or so. So you've got Duke, who has just been a stalwart for 30 years or however long Krzyzewski has been there. I think they've got at least 5. North Carolina has 5. Kansas, I think, has 3. So there's 18 national titles between all 4 of the teams are national titles. All 4 of them, as Charlie called, what do you call them?
Blue Bloods? Yeah.
No, he didn't call them New Bloods. He called True Bloods. True Bloods.
Yeah.
He called them True Bloods. Yeah. That's actually a better term for it. But they were all, and it's exactly True Bloods right there. Villanova, I think Villanova beats Kansas if the guy that got hurt didn't get hurt. If Moore doesn't get hurt in that game, I'm on Villanova. Seriously, but just he did and they didn't. And now, and another funny thing is, of course, this is where my mind goes. You've got North Carolina, who got away with 18 years of academic fraud in a championship game against a Kansas team currently under NCAA investigation. So, isn't that nice?
Yeah. Well, there was a report that just came out from Inside Higher Ed that I saw on Twitter like 15 minutes ago that said that they didn't find any academic fraud in the North Carolina program. So,
wait a minute, who did that? That investigation's been over for 5 years.
Yeah, but they had another one.
Oh, of course. Who commissioned that? North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina.
Did they commission it?
I'm not sure. I just saw the title that said that they didn't find any fraud.
Yeah. That's because all the witnesses were no longer working for North Carolina and wouldn't speak to anybody. That's how they got away with that.
That's funny.
That is exactly how that went down. But regardless, we've got a national championship. North Carolina gets, you think she gets their 6th one tonight. I mean, if North Carolina wins, they pull ahead of Indiana. They're both tied at 5. If Kansas wins, then cheaters succeed. I mean, seriously, I mean, it's so I don't know who I don't have a dog in the fight, really. I'm like, I guess it doesn't. I'm just not a Bill Self fan. Every time I see him, I'm like, yeah, you cheating SOB. I mean, of course they were all, but you can't blame Hubert Davis. He wasn't there when anything went down. So,
yeah, I think Kansas is going to run away with it. In all honesty, and I think
really.
Yeah, I think even like you said, if Justin Moore hadn't gotten hurt, I still think Kansas would have handled that. I mean, they're just so oversized and so talented, and their coach makes such good adjustments coming out of the half, like you saw against Miami. So I think if North Carolina has a chance, they've got to be winning by at least 6 at the half and then just try to hold on. But I really think Kansas is going to put an emphasis on taking Caleb Love away unlike Duke was able to. And if they can just get out of range of, okay, he can't hit a crazy shot to tie this game or take the lead within the final minute and a half, I think that they should be okay.
Do you know whose cousin is Caleb Love?
Coach Shelby, is that what you told me?
Yeah. Coach Brandon Shelby on the IU football team. That's his cousin. I saw him out the other night during the game, and man, he was going nuts. But there was one time toward the end of the game where Love takes a pretty deep three. And I remember as that ball was going up, I heard this, "Are you out of your mind?" And then about that time, splash. And it was Coach Shelby over there yelling, "Are you out of your damn mind?" And then about that time, that ball goes splash, and I just started laughing because I'm like going, we've always wanted to hear a coach on the sideline do that.
Yeah.
Are you out of your freaking? Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like Steve Kerr when Steph Curry was coming on the scene, and he would just chuck up all these shots, and Steve Kerr would have his hands on his head. Then he'd go, "Okay, well, you made it, so I can't really be that mad."
Robert thinks that they get North Carolina picks up number 6 tonight.
It would be the poetic justice of this tournament, take down Coach K. But I mean, that's the most emotional win I'd say for any team in the last 10 years of the NCAA. So you got to really bounce back.
Hey, and Michelle with a great point. Remember, Indiana plays Kansas starting next year in a back-to-back or home-and-home series. Could be playing their defending national champion.
Team might look a lot different before that game.
Yeah, Kansas. Michelle says Kansas wins. She's got $1,000 in her pool. Well, good luck to you. Speaking of that, John's not here. He's running that thing, but wish the Indiana Sports Beat bracket. Oh, Pete says he's up there at the top, so we'll see who comes out on top of that. I got crushed in mine. I was doing well after the first weekend, and then all of a sudden somebody just punched me right in the mouth. I was like, "Oh, ow."
Yeah, but I was very big on Baylor and Arizona coming into mine, and then they both were out by the I think Sweet 16, the end of the Sweet 16.
I was big on Gonzaga until I was in Portland and I saw them play, and I was like, "Did I tell you this?"
Yeah, I mean, I was there too. I got to see them practice.
As soon as I saw them, I was like, "They're not winning, Dick.
Yeah,
this is not a team." I'm like, "Nope, they are not. They just don't have it." I mean, they were a good ball club, and Chet Holmgren is a freak.
He's just not. He's not the hardest player you've ever seen in your life.
No, and no place, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
he brings the ball. He can bring the ball up the floor. Which I was watching Winning Time the other night. The LA Lakers deal that's on, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
it's been pretty cool so far. I forgot where I was going with that, but it's the difference between not playing hard is it's those guys. It's a different level, but he'll get that introduced to him when he gets drafted because he can't be a prima donna.
Yeah, I mean,
and they will whip his ass.
His best case is to end up like KD, and if you're gonna be 6'8", 150 pounds, and you're not gonna like try to body someone or have that grit factor about you.
But he's 7 foot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And this dude can bring the ball up the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about walking either.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about walking it up the floor. That's what I was like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah. But he's got to have that mindset of being able to take over a game and just that cold-blooded, ice-cold clutch factor like Kevin Durant has. Or, he's going to get kind of devoured in the NBA.
So. I mentioned this earlier, but Jaden Hood-Schifino wins him another national championship. That's back-to-back national titles for Montverde and Jalen Hood-Schifino. His teammate is in the top 40. I don't know if he's leaning to IU. Malik Reno, I don't know that he's leaning at you. And I wish I'd have known this when I was down there. I'd have paid more attention to him and had more interviews with him.
Yeah.
But that would be a great pickup.
Yeah.
But Indiana has – go ahead.
I'd say they're definitely in – I would say – I don't think he's put out a final top 5 or anything, but I would say that they're definitely in it because they were in his top 7 before he chose Florida and then decommitted from Florida a couple of weeks ago.
Well, he would replace.
Definitely has a legitimate chance.
He would replace Michael Durr.
Yeah,
and
completely. Yeah,
and someone you could probably see on the floor next year.
Yeah,
not starting, but you definitely see on the floor. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino starts next year.
Yeah, that makes me wonder what Tamar Bates' role is if he just goes to a strictly 6-man type deal, but
now will there be a difference made? Is there another guard that has to be pulled in? You know, I don't know that. I can't speculate whether or not Xavier would be asked to hit the portal or whatever the case may be. But here's the thing: now's the time to do it because you got a Nigel Pack out there that would probably probably walk on his hands and knees to get to Bloomington.
Yeah.
But the timing is there and you have to do those things. You have to do them when you have to do them. Of course, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Always trying to find out, but you just don't always know if that's even a possibility. I mean, but I think someone like Nigel Pack, who averaged over 19 points or 18 points a game, you're not going to have a problem bringing him in.
Yeah, no.
At all.
Adding talent is never a bad idea.
Especially when it's an in-state kid, there will be a seamless transition. I still keep saying over and over, and I don't know if you have been here, I think Trace Jackson Davis is coming back.
Yeah, I'm on that train as well.
So, I mean, it's kind of – and now, but what about Race? I'm starting to wonder about him since there's been no movement. There's been no announcement. If he was not staying, there's no reason for him not to have already said, I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him not to say it up till now.
Yeah. We can come back to that. We got to go to a break.
The boss said it, and we do it. Hey, brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality. Don't forget the multiple restaurants that you can stop by there and make sure you get your WOW Club card. Just go to the WOW Club on either of your app stores, Google, or wherever, and get that taken care of. Feast Market and Cellar also located right next door. We don't need to see you. That's why I did it. Feast Market and Cellar located right next door to Southern Stone. Great wines and some cheeses there as well. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Yeah, I got something that I can bring up about Race that is interesting.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, if they were to boot X and pick up Nigel Pack.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, regardless.
X is not going anywhere. I bet you X does not go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be careful what I say, but I think that you have to kind of make a change. You can't have the line
I agree.
Off the team be, okay, as long as I don't commit a felony and run from the police.
No, not just that. It's just that you've already done crap. You've already been suspended. You already derailed the effing season almost.
Yeah. And, I mean, it goes – I can't remember who said it, but it was, parents of recruits. What do they think? And after the whole Northwestern debacle, I think was it Schifino's mom that went on Twitter and said, this is why I love that my son's going to Indiana because Woodson's creating a culture. So, I mean.
Man.
Yeah, it's, I mean.
Nigel Pack that's real now.
Yeah, but what I was going to say, regardless of circumstance, if nothing happened, I still would rather have Xavier Johnson. I think Xavier could be one of the best players in the Big Ten next year if he can get a full season in Woodson's system.
What that key word is? If.
It's if.
But it's not just if that, though. If he can keep his head straight, if he cannot get into trouble, if he cannot lead teammates into places they shouldn't be. There's too many ifs with him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got a guy that just gives you 18 a night without the ifs, I'm going to go with the 18 and no ifs.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only that, the talent that is going to be surrounding him is going to be better than was surrounding X. But I don't know, man. I just think that a change is needed.
Mm-hmm. I'm expecting a statement today. I'm expecting a press release at some point today from Indiana. So, all right, we're back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Monday. It is Championship Monday. The Tar Heels and the Jayhawks.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana's opponent next year, Kansas, as Michelle mentioned earlier, which is pretty cool. How long has it been since Indiana has played a defending national champion? You probably have to go back to when they were still playing Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Allen says North Carolina already has 6 titles. So, wow. Yeah, that would give them 7. I think Kansas has the 3, like I said, which is kind of low for they're like in the executive committee of the Blue Bloods, I would call it.
Yeah. North Carolina, Duke.
And place where Indiana would have been had they not just falling into an abyss for the last 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
There was a thing out the other day I saw that judged Blue Bloods historically today and all that stuff. So
yeah, there was something that I saw that brought up the possibility that Villanova replaces Indiana in the Blue Blood status.
It's not possible. Buddy, 5 national championships.
I know.
3 does not equal 5. And yes, I know that they're modern.
Yeah.
And they have been definitely more successful here in the last couple of decades. But Indiana has to get on. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous for a program like Indiana to not have success because of the talent that comes out of this state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't have to start any place else other than that. When you produce more talent per capita than anybody, you got to capitalize on it. But it's been a lineage of bad hires is what this problem has been.
And the recruiting in state just got harder with Thad Matta going to Butler. So that's a whole nother program and a coach that you have to compete with because Butler before that, they weren't really in play for any of the big names. But
Michael Lewis is at Ball State.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know it's Ball State.
That's still Ball State.
But guess what? I get that. But think about that. I mean, now that you brought that up, you've got Mike Bray at North Carolina. You've got Matt Painter at Purdue. You've got Thad Matta at Butler. You've got Michael Lewis at Ball State. And then you've got Mike Woodson at Indiana.
Mike Bray at Notre Dame. You said North Carolina.
Oh, my bad. North Carolina or Notre Dame's where I meant. But think about that.
Yeah.
That's 5. That's 5. I won't call Ball State a strong program, obviously, because they're a MAC school.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still 4 strong programs and a strong personality in Michael Lewis that you're going to have. And Evansville just became D1.
Yeah.
It's and you've got all these other Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
That are always. You've got Louisville. You've got Kentucky. Everyone is always trying to pilfer Indiana. But you don't have to have. It's not like you have to have. You don't need to be Purdue and have a roster full of kids from Indiana. Who cares? You just need to have the best players available. Mm-hmm. You need to get the best players you can from Indiana because I promise you they're going to produce quality talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the thing with Michael Lewis and Ball State, I mean, while they're not the name of Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame, Butler, you might see those 3-star depth guys that you've easily been able to get, like a Trey Galloway or Anthony Leal that might, go to Ball State and try to start.
Jason says he'd rather see Kansas win because they'll only have 4 national championships and still have a chance to get that one taken away.
Yeah. You got to add on what you can.
That's funny. I like that. Let's see. David says, is anyone willing to sacrifice integrity and character for on-court play? The world and university is screwed. Yep. I agree. And this is probably, without question, the toughest decision of Mike Woodson's early career in Indiana, the Xavier Johnson thing. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, and he's had to make a lot of tough decisions in his first year alone. And he's had multiple suspensions, and we've seen him sacrifice
the Dane Fife thing. Yeah. This is a lot. This is a lot that has gone on in this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, but we've seen him sacrifice the winning for culture with Northwestern. So I wouldn't really expect a different kind of punishment here. And, if he's not suspended, what do you think a sufficient punishment in season is that kind of trickles into next year?
Well, I want to make sure I don't the felony won't stay. I'm pretty certain of that. Let's see. Kenneth mentioned something about overreacting. He's talking about the tight end at IU last year who was arrested for burglary but was good to play. And it actually wasn't burglary. It was a little bit more serious than that.
Yeah.
It had to do with his girlfriend. But that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider that more serious than what Xavier Johnson did.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking about 2 different coaches.
But it doesn't matter if it's more serious. They're both serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the difference is one of those guys had been in trouble before and caused problems. One had not.
Yeah.
This is the second time you've done something to bring negative notoriety, negative attention, and this time legal problems. The first time it was just team rules. Well, now I'm going to assume breaking the law is a team rule as well, that you can't break team law, can't break the law. So now he would have broken a team rule and broken the law.
Yeah. And
so he has just, elevated his issues.
Maybe Woodson takes the entire offseason to make a decision.
You can't do that.
It's different in basketball and football, which, that's what Allen did. And he tried to see if Hendershot would make a clear change and become a different person than he was when that happened. But yeah, you can't do that. But it's also a unforeseen situation that you've put yourself in, to where it's not really like a typical recruiting thing that you deal with.
Tim asked, could Rob Finney follow Thad to Butler? Well, of course he could. I don't know what I have no idea what Butler's roster situation is like. He could go to Ball State, play for Michael Lewis for that matter. Yeah. And that might be a better spot, to be honest with you, for a Rob Finney. Well, either of those would probably be okay, but I don't know what Butler's situation is. I'll tell you exactly where he could go with no problems, because I could go there and play right now, and that's Murray State.
Yeah, I mean, Butler's situation is 6-14 in the Big East and something in 20 overall. So he could go in and he could plug and play, I think, and he could really help them out. But I think the rumor is that he's going to go to Cincinnati and play in a less competitive American compared to the Big Ten or what the Big East might be. So
look at that. Look at my man, the truth, Robert Carter. If North Carolina wins tonight, he wins. He will win $2,000, and he's going to give it all to a homeless shelter. My man. Everybody give it up to the truth, Robert Carter. He's down in Evansville. Brother, we appreciate you. I got to make sure we get your address. I have to get you a visor sent off when it's about that time of year, baby. It's about visor time, or caps. We got caps as well coming in. So, but
yeah.
Hold on. Kenneth says he thinks that, I don't know if he's talking to us or someone else has commented, but stretching a lot to make X a bad guy for whatever reason you need. I don't think that anyone needs to make X a bad guy. It's not that he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that at all. No. And again, Kenneth, you may be responding to comments that somebody else made on the comment, Andy Moore Honda hotline. But it's not that he's a bad guy. He cannot be trusted to do the right thing. He cannot be trusted to lead this team. And he's a team leader. He's a de facto team leader. And if Trace Jackson Davis weren't to come back, he would be the de facto team leader. Is that who you want leading the team? Mm-hmm. I guarantee you I know the answer to that. It's not no. It's hell no. I mean, he has taken him down paths multiple times now. Thank gosh that this wasn't June and Jalen Hood-Schifino was on a visit.
Yeah.
Or not a visit, but had arrived early. Or, CJ Gunn was here, early, and they're going out, and the next thing he knows, I mean, that could be the case for Parker Stewart. He was in the vehicle, but he wasn't driving. Yeah. So I'm not putting anything on Parker Stewart. He was with him. It kind of shows you, the mentality there. But what would that have done if he'd have had someone like that in the car? A. B. What the hell would have happened if he wrecks? Mm-hmm. I mean, again, Walnut is, if you're not familiar with Bloomington, it's a city street. It's one of the main thoroughfares through Bloomington. Like College, they go the opposite directions, but they're 3-lane roads that just go in. Yeah. One's in, one's out. But all these crossover streets, man, if you're going 90 miles an hour at 3 a.m, I can easily see someone stepping out, someone walking out from a bar. I mean, this could have been horrific.
Yeah. I heard and it's different situations, but I mean, it's kind of like the Henry Ruggs situation, the Raiders wide receiver that got in that accident in Vegas, which he was under the influence and he was going 130 miles an hour. But I mean, once he made contact with that car, both cars kind of engulfed in flames. So that's what you could have seen. And that's worst case scenario. And it's also irrelevant because it's, if, but with the situation we have now, it's a little bit different.
Jim Harbaugh says that, and Jim Harbaugh's a character name, FYI, for you all those that don't join us all the time. No, unfortunately, it's not actually Jimbo, but he's almost as funny as Harbaugh. I can tell you that. It says, good. Schifino said last night on Instagram that Hoosier fans might be seeing a lot more of his teammate.
Mm-hmm. So he's trying to recruit him. He wants him here just as bad as Indiana fans do.
And let me tell you, there's a difference between a kid on a high school team recruiting and someone like Jalen Hood-Schifino. And what I mean by that is Montverde is not a high school. It's the same grades. It's the same grade level, but it is nothing like a high school. It is akin to a boarding school with
It's
a little with a little military in it. But the whole point is these kids they're young adults.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak to them, they're going to speak. I don't want to mean eloquently, like, they're all fancy, but they're going to speak education. They're going to sound like they know what they're doing. They're not. They played in the games that they play in. I've said this for months. They're under pressure all the time. These games they play in of the upper level, dude, they're playing against teams that have starters that are going to D1 all year long. That's why, I'm not saying that playing in front of 17,000 fans when you move up is not bringing some pressure, but they're used to it.
Yeah. And it's also the travel schedule that they have. It's basically college. And you're going all over the country and playing. And you're playing against college talent. And you could kind of compare it to, if you're redshirted as a freshman, that year of experience is that experience that you would get at one of those schools like the Montverdes and the IMG.
And there are expectations at these places that they do not bend. They don't waver. There's the expectation of your behavior, of how you are, of how you act, of how you interact with people, your education, all of that stuff. So when you get a kid from most places, the one thing I will guarantee you is you're getting a solid person. You're getting a solid citizen, solid student, and a damn sure solid athlete.
Yeah.
So Indiana could really come out great. We'll talk to Jim Reamer and he joins us about that. But I just wonder though, if Trace comes back and that happens, oh man.
Yeah.
The possibilities for Indiana next year could be spectacular, if you want to be honest. We'll talk about more that and whatever else Jim Reamer's got to say. He joins us next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Brought to you by our good friends from Cabello Restaurant, located on the square in Bloomington. It's the former Grazi location right on the north side of the square there, and food is incredible. Italian fare. It is completely remodeled. It's awesome. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Morning.
We have no music. That just drives me, just leaves me weird.
I like Michelle Reuter's idea. They should require team members to only use Uber.
Yeah, but
you know what?
Bloomington's a campus where you could walk to everything.
True.
Well, I don't think the Uber had anything to do with him. I think he just wanted to be he obviously wasn't drinking.
That's good. Has that been final? Is that?
I don't think it's been finalized, but I think I've talked to people I've talked to in the my contacts with police.
Good.
No. So, and I'm not going to act like I've never driven 90 miles an hour in my life, but I sure didn't. I didn't do it down the middle of Bloomington. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's the part. I mean,
out on an interstate where nobody around me.
The first weekend I got my car, I drove 110 to Cincinnati.
Man.
So.
Man, I had a 1974 Chevy Nova. I was afraid to drive that thing 110 miles an hour.
Well, I grew up in a garage car family, so I don't think I was ever afraid to drive anything.
Let me tell you what my dad did. I got lucky. This was before sunroofs and all that. Someone had put a homemade sunroof in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool. So I have a sunroof. I'm styling, man. I'm 16. I am styling. Got this metallic mint green paint job on it now. And then my dad sees one of my football teammates standing up through the sunroof, yelling at some girls. The next day, that thing was caulked shut.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He caulked it shut.
I
Right,
don't know. I think if
I left the caulk there, just cut the seal. That's how you do that.
I got in trouble in, not that it's driving related, I got in trouble in my senior year of high school for running an NCAA pool. Front page of the Indianapolis Star. And when I went,
that made the front page.
Oh yeah, I still have all the articles clipped, like digitally.
You've got to send those to John.
And then
back in 2-1.
Hey, welcome back. It is Monday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio with you here as always. Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana, joining us. We've had plenty of stuff to talk about. The Final Four, or it's actually the Final Two tonight. Jim, how are you doing, man?
Doing well. Enjoying the Thad Matta hire at Butler.
Yeah.
I'm a man of split allegiances.
I'm good. All right. I wonder about that. Not that he can't coach, because he can. But the reason he did not get the Indiana job, and I took grief over this time, he was not physically able to do it. And I've seen him like back at the beginning of the season. I know he's been getting better. He's still dealing with health problems. I'm a little surprised that he took that job, but I also think that Mike Woodson, and this is only on my part guessing, but once Dane was let go, I don't know that Mike Woodson saw a reason for Thad to be here, because he was relying on his own counsel, basically.
Right.
So that opened up
I don't think that was good for anybody, though, how that was all handled.
No, it wasn't. It didn't make sense, a lot of it.
You know, and if he wants Whitman on staff, get Whitman on staff. I mean, I don't know that I would like to, if I was the assistants, I don't know if I would. I mean, you're talking about job security.
Well, Thad Matta was an assistant. He was whatever title they gave him.
But the assumption was, and this is, it's speculation, right? That he was brought in to help maybe smoothing out the transition to college coaching, and
because
even the Dobo there, what's the guy's name? That came with Woody, that was on staff with him with the Knicks, I think. Let me look it up here.
Well, that used to be Brian Walsh, of course, which was moved up to recruiting, which has now been moved up to the assistant. Actually, that's a good question.
That's not who I'm
Keegan. Keegan, who is the director of basketball ops?
Where at Indiana?
Armand Hill. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Armand Hill.
Oh, Armand is the director of basketball ops.
Yeah, he's the director of basketball administration. So I don't know if that's a separate title, but that's, I guess I would trust that. But we all have our own people.
Yeah,
in anything we do. But being a college assistant is a pretty tenuous position. I mean, those are decisions I made in my late 20s when I was really getting serious about coaching and determining how I wanted to get serious about it. And ultimately I decided I like where I live. I don't have to do a whole lot to live here. Some of that was made more available to me than others, but at the same time, I like the stability of my life. And being a college coach, had very little appeal to me outside of a couple of isolated situations. And it's because I didn't want, wake up one day, 2 or 3 years into a move and find out that I have to go job hunting again, or find out that I have to move again, or uproot, just uproot. And it's not something that was very comfortable to me. And, and a lot of these guys that do it obviously knew they want to do it from a young age. So they pursue it. Like, Travis Steele at Miami, he knew he wanted to be a college coach when he was a sophomore in high school, or at least a head coach, I don't know if college, NBA, whatever. He knew he wanted to be a coach when he was sophomore in high school. That's just a different mindset, but it still doesn't lend to job security. And being an assistant is there's not a whole lot of job security in being a college coaching assistant.
Nope. One thing good to be the head coach, and that's Michael Lewis being introduced today as Ball State's newest head coach. So congratulations to Michael. And then you've got Thad Matta going to Butler. So some irony there, but congratulations to Michael, by the way. That press conference later on today where he's officially being announced, but he is the man. And I was just talking earlier, we were talking, man, it's going to get tough recruiting again because you got Mike Bray up in South Bend. You got Matt Painter down there in West Lafayette. You've got Michael Lewis over in Muncie at Ball State. Now you've got Thad Matta up at Butler and Mike Whitson and crew down here in Bloomington. And then Evansville is turning into a D1 school.
Southern Indiana.
Lots. Oh, was it Southern Indiana? I thought Evansville was.
Well, that there could be a joke there, but yeah, no, Southern Indiana was turning.
Evansville already is.
Yeah, Evansville's already Missouri Valley.
Southern Indiana's turning into the D1, right? But anyway, that's a lot of action, man.
We may be getting another D1 in this state. The recruiting of this class of 2023 has led into that discussion, how there's a school that's heading in that direction. And I don't know that there'll be any announcement made this week, but there's definitely going to be some progress toward it this week. I'm not at liberty to say right now. I don't know where they are in that process, but it's definitely looking like there will be another school that's looking to head into the Division I ranks in Indiana.
Is that too many?
I mean, we've already got 11
in this state. I mean, that's a ton of Division I schools in this state. This state is not that big. What's 6 million populations total? Maybe.
On my podcast, we've talked a lot about how the kids are underserved in this state at the Division II level because the GLVC is such a good conference. It's too bad that more Indiana kids don't get the opportunity to play in that. But then, you consider there's only 2 Division II schools in the state. Now there's just one. Well, there is 2. There's Purdue Northwest. But for years, you just see all these kids go, and that's why the NAI level is so good in the state, because there's just not that many Division II opportunities. It's not in anybody's mind space as to, hey, let's go play in the GLVC, because there's no teams other than University of Indianapolis and Southern Indiana to look at, and newly of late Purdue Northwest or Purdue Cal, whichever one they've adopted there. But that's but then Indiana has 10 Division I schools, and now they've got 11 with Southern Indiana. Although there is some talk that Evansville may drop out of the Division I level just because of funding and budgets and all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, I would see that. Thad Matta now at Butler, like we said. Yeah, good for him. Hopefully his health is ready to deal with the rigors of that. That recruiting is a tough gig, man. Going on the road for these games, something I don't think that he had to do that. I don't know if he did I can't remember if he was at away games this year or not, but best of luck to him.
Well, he still has a house near campus.
Right. Right.
And that's, he's been there ever since he retired from Ohio State. And, he was getting involved in the reopening of the Bulldog, which originally the Bulldog that turned into Mo and Johnny's. That went under, and now he's back in that building as I don't know how much a stake he has in it, but he's back in that building as a general partner in the reopening of that place. So he's definitely staked, planted his stake here in Indianapolis, and maybe just too much to pass up. at this time.
Michelle winning her pool, $1,000 in her pool. We've got some winners, man. I'm not one of them. I can tell you that. I got crushed after the second weekend, basically.
About brackets or just?
Yeah, my bracket, I got killed. I only did 2, but it's funny. I was talking about this earlier, Jim, that, with all the upsets, the parity, the first time, the 2s beating the 15 or 15s beating the 2s, yada, yada. But we end up with, as Charlie Smith or Charlie Miller calls them, the True Bloods, North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's no one outside of the group of the group of greats made it in.
I guess I fail to see why Carolina was such a low seed. Maybe
they came on late. They were just I think I saw a stat yesterday. Kentucky, there are 2 teams here that Kentucky beat away from Rupp Arena by a total of nearly 30 points. But
they did lose. Yeah, they did lose to 29 to Kentucky.
But that's
And Tennessee did beat them. Yeah, I guess losses to Purdue, Tennessee, Kentucky, your non-conference, those are your legitimate conference, your non-conference teams. They did beat Michigan. There's not a lot of quality non-conference wins under their belt, but still, 15-5 is ACC still good.
Absolutely, but the ACC was just so down this year. They had 1 team ranked all season, and it was Duke. And so you really had you wondered about Duke, since they're all freshmen, and that was my concern. But those freshmen grew up in the NCAA or the ACC tournament, and then in the NCAA tournament, they came to life up until they got beat. But and then North Carolina is just not a team that I think anyone saw playing for a national championship this year.
Home loss to Pittsburgh is pretty damaging.
But it is. So it's there, and so who cares? We're where we ought to be. But now it's who do you think wins? Who you want to see wins? If Kansas wins, is that a title? Is that a banner that's going to come down in a few years, like Louisville's did not too long ago?
Yeah, I don't know if there should be a statute of limitations on investigations, but there should definitely be a statute of limitations on punishment. And if the NCAA hasn't figured it out or had the stones to follow through with anything yet, at this point, I'd say they just need to wash their hands of it and move on. I mean, I'm not suggesting anybody should get away with violating any rules. I was a big advocate or a big talking point back when Sampson got fired that he wasn't just fired for phone calls and text messages. He was fired for violating the terms of his punishment, which, when you have to explain that to parents, it seems kind of odd because, you would think you would punish your kids for violating the terms of their punishment. But, you look at the stuff that was illegal then, probably isn't nearly as illegal now, at least within the rules of the NCAA. So I just would say that if the NCAA is taking this long to come up with a punishment, they just need to move on.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They like to take the easy way out. We'll see how they manage that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Throwing some other names out here. What about Rob Finney to Butler? Rob Finney to Ball State? I mean, I think those would be good landing places for him, actually.
Yeah, that would definitely. The Ball State thing was obvious. It was an obvious one to me. I think he could go in there and I mean, he would automatically be one of the best defenders in that league. He would probably be able to have a little more success finishing. It'll be a smaller league, and I think he would provide a lot of stability for Coach Lewis in his first year as a head coach, and his first year in the MAC. It'd be a nice landing spot for Rob, close enough to home for his family, and the Butler thing would be okay. Clearly the Big East, maybe top to bottom, hasn't been as strong the last few years, but it's still a good league. We've got a Final Four team. We've got a Final Four team from the Big East. We had another team in Providence that was certainly competitive the second weekend. I mean, the Big East is a high major league, and they may not have enough as much size as the Big Ten traditionally, but it's still a very physical league. I don't know that going to Butler is going to automatically change his production, but again, it would be somebody that could stabilize, a new team, or a team that's going to be looking for a point guard here in the offseason.
We got to take a quick break. We got plenty more to talk about. Indiana's got some issues to deal with. There's coaching everywhere, recruiting as well. Jim Reamer from Courtside Indiana is with us. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by BB's Market. Butchers and bakers, get your great specialty meats there. Go online and get that order. We're back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. Man, I'm not used to those. Even though it's only the beginning of the end, the commercials things throw me off for some reason.
Not having the music lead in. Come on, Keegan.
I'm doing this from a MacBook. John's got a dual monitor PC set up in his house.
Oh, come on, man. Step up. I've got a new MacBook Pro. I've got my 27-inch monitor. That's not me.
No, it's me.
Coach should cut X, retain Rob, and pick up another guard in the portal. Or no. No. Xavier Johnson, look.
Well, don't waste his take now. Wait until we come back.
I want to know. All right.
Hold on, because I think I'm going to disagree with you. So just hold on to that thought.
That's fine. I guess the main difference will be I didn't do it in city streets.
You did do it on city streets.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't do it on city streets.
That's in my city. I'm like, out on a freaking interstate out there all by yourself. I mean, I've done plenty of stupid stuff. I'm not saying that. It's not about doing stupid stuff. But
it's about getting caught doing stupid stuff.
Well, I want to save it. We got to save it. We got to say this is good stuff.
Because I drive very differently when I'm alone on the interstate.
Yep.
And definitely when I was younger. And that was part of my job, was getting places quickly, for what that's worth.
All right, back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Day. Getting your week started off. Hope. What did I say?
Oh, he can cut you out instead of him.
I made an error. I accidentally removed you from the stream instead of me.
All of a sudden, Jim disappeared. I was like, do I need to take over?
Cool.
Early morning.
I was still talking, but welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day. Been talking about a lot of things. Obviously, the things that broke over the weekend, overnight, all that good stuff. Xavier Johnson getting arrested for reckless driving and all that good stuff. I was reading a tweet that said they saw a tweet earlier, and it says, I'm only curious. Everyone's saying X should be off the team. Is it because he was arrested or because what he was arrested for? It's here for me. My take on this, it's Maybe it's because he's supposed to be a senior leader, a team leader, but twice now he has led teammates down a path that has negatively impacted his team that he's supposed to be leading. It almost cost them the season at Northwestern. And yet, here again, he makes a horrific, boneheaded decision that there's no way that there's not going to be an impact. Now, do we see the impact here? No, we can't, because we don't know. That could be in recruits. That could be in recruits' parents. That could be for them to wonder, is there discipline in Bloomington? Is this team in control? Does Mike Woodson have control of this team? His senior leader is still doing things that are bad. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I guess to me, the extent would be what's the actual, and I've not read up on this entirely, what the actual resisting of arrest was. Was it
evading? Is actually resisting arrest. It's resisting law enforcement, and that's simply not stopping.
Right. So he made a couple of turns, or
no,
I mean, I've been on the interstate.
He wouldn't pull over when they were trying to get him pulled over, driving 90 miles an hour. He refused to pull over.
Was he continuing to go 90, or was he just trying to get
in the
passenger seat?
And it didn't end there. Then
trying to get in the passenger seat.
When he finally gets stopped, he tries to get to the passenger seat, but he's not smart enough to do it inside the car. He gets out, opens the door, gets out, walks around, and gets in the passenger seat. Man, if I'm going to do that, I'm like, dude, scoot over. And bam. But so.
Well, the guy that scoots over has to be some fault too, right? He has to be willing to take the fall.
But he's not on a Division I scholarship at Indiana. He doesn't have all this being handed to him. He doesn't have all these people depending upon him, leaning on him and looking to him. So that's the difference.
I'm talking about just the neck up. Like, who does that? I mean, that's at some point, that's it takes two to tango on that one. But I don't know. I don't want to see Xavier. I don't think Xavier should get kicked off the team for this. I think the Northwestern stuff that's an internal decision. I don't think that was something that happened at the program level. I think that was something that Woodson just determined on his own. I think a lot of that was based on, again, unless there's more information out there that we don't know about or that I don't know about that you do, I would say that, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was 5 of them and not just one, or not just a couple. We don't really know what it was, at least definitively, that anybody has been willing to talk about.
Are you talking about the
Northwestern game? No, the Northwestern game.
Yeah, that'll come out eventually. But I don't know that it was a big thing. It's just that it was a thing. You've got, your season is on the line. You've got to win games. You're struggling. And yet, and the senior leader decides, this is a good night to go out and break curfew. This is a good night to go not think about my team. And that's another thing that I was thinking of. These show that he's just simply not thinking about the team. He's not thinking about looking forward. And I'm not saying that no one has been perfect. You go back to the guys on the night teams. Let me tell you, if you think those guys were perfect, you're out of your ever-loving stinking mind. But they weren't dumb. They put things in place to not get caught. If they were going about drinking, they were probably out at Parkland Heights, where they all used to live, just having a big time.
Right.
If they were out, they had people on speed dial. Let me tell you, they knew better than to get in trouble. They knew better. But they put things in place for that to not happen. Not that we've seen this stuff happen before. I mean, kids are kids. With the Emmett Holt stuff that happened a while back with Crean and all that. But that's why Indiana does not want to get into that situation again. That's where they were going through that little period where it seemed to happen right after Emmett Holt, Yogi Ferrell, Hannah Mouse Perea, all that stuff is like bam, bam, bam. You can't get in that situation when you're trying to crawl out of an abyss like they are right now.
Well, I think from a discipline standpoint, though, Crean pulled themselves out of that. I think he did a good job of handling that, and I think that doesn't necessarily take kicking a guy off the team. I don't know that I would go that route yet. Not for this.
It's not just this. That's the problem. It's not just this. It is a pattern of
well,
poor leadership.
I'm including that. I mean, I'm including the fact that
then what's he got to do? What's he got to do for it to be?
Okay, 3 strikes and you're out. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Again, if there's other details out there that we can't talk about.
It's not the problem that he's done something a second time that gets me. It's the fact of what they're doing. These are mistakes that affect the entire team. And he doesn't think about the team. I don't think and if he wasn't supposed to be a senior leader, that would be okay. But he is. This is the guy on the end of the bench. Nobody cares. But he's not. He's the guy with the ball in his hands.
Right. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to kick Yogi off the team.
No, but he wasn't leading a pattern of that stuff, though. He hadn't, again, this is not the first time. You nearly cost your team their season last year with that stunt at Northwestern. And that's not really fair because the team had other opportunities that they screwed up, wins that they should have had that they didn't get simply on their own. So it's not fair of me to put that on him. But at the time when things are that important,
you got people.
I just don't see where there's just I don't see any growth. There's no growth. What growth are we seeing in Xavier Johnson in his decision making?
Yeah, I'm just not. I need more. I would need more. And maybe it's there and we just don't know it. Maybe it's there and we just don't know it, and that's or somebody knows it and hasn't talked about it yet, and that could be, and that's fine. If that person is thinking that I would be too easy on that situation, I don't know. I would make life pretty uncomfortable for Xavier. I just wouldn't kick him off the team. I would stand his butt in front of a camera. I would make him apologize. I would involve him in local community service. I would definitely have internal punishments for him, maybe including 3 games for a second offense, maybe. But I'm not sure I would just. I'm reading the people saying, "Yeah, he could have killed somebody going that fast." I understand that. But anytime you speed, anytime you do that through city streets, you run that risk.
And I get that. And like I said, I'm not sitting here on a soapbox like I'm perfect. Nope. Dumb as jackass as anybody else. But again, I don't have a Division I scholarship from Indiana. I didn't get that opportunity. I don't have that opportunity. There's a lot of kids that would love to have that opportunity that wouldn't be putting Indiana through this mess. And is there not somebody else out there that can do what he can do on the floor that won't do that? I.e. Nigel Pack.
I don't know. I'm not as high on that direction as some others are.
My only point is, would it be worth it to have a Nigel Pack and not have the headaches and not have the potential problems all the time when you have a solid player? Maybe he's not quite as good but Xavier, but he doesn't have to be as good. There's going to be a lot more talent around him now on top of that. So to me, not having problems, having almost the same production, I'm going to take that every time.
Well, that's assuming they have interest in Pack and that Pack has interest in them. Obviously, I think they've reached out to him, but
I mean, it's just an example,
right?
I
don't think Woodson should make a decision based on who's available. I think it'd be way more culture creating to make the decision independently.
Well, I agree with you there 100%, because if you're making it because who's available, then you're not making it on a
You're not making it about the punishment crime.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with you 1,000% on that.
You're going opportunity cost in that situation. And I think all of that, like, I think some of this too is, look, there's discipline, then there's protecting your players. And I don't mean protecting them as in terms of shielding them from legal consequences, but I do mean in terms of protecting your players within the program. And again, I guess I just go back to, I need to see more. I don't equate some of this stuff as a reflection of leadership on the court. I know that because sometimes we're talking about the difference between some of these guys, some of these situations, and others. They're just the ones that got caught, and I think we all know that's the case. Maybe not driving 90 through the streets of Bloomington, but it just in terms of discipline and what you're supposed to do in general. I don't think that making a player change would make that would be the immunity for such things. But that's like I've had a kid once.
Well, it is if you don't have players that make those kinds of decisions.
Yeah, I guess there's some things I can't say right now, but
right.
I remember once I had a kid that was a great kid, super just committed to his craft in every way, shape, or form, and he wanted to transfer because his teammates were all smoking pot. And I'm like, if you think transferring is going to cure that, you got another thing coming. That's going to be on every team probably. You're going to have, but the question, then it becomes the issue of, okay, are they taking care of business? They doing what they're supposed to do? What's the penalty structure within the program? What's the penalty structure within the athletics department? How is that handled if someone gets caught? How is that handled if it's witnessed but not caught? Stuff like that. I think that's kind of where I'm sort of just, I realize I'm just shotgunning ideas here, but I guess I just need to see more. I don't think that this would warrant getting rid of him. I know that the more concerning thing is certainly the evading the police. I mean, actually, the more concerning thing is the speed. But the fact
that he thought it was a smart idea to do 90 miles an hour on Walnut, that is a decision. And again, there is nothing to show that there was any alcohol or drugs involved. So this is a conscious decision.
Yeah.
If he'd have been drunk, I would have had some kind of understanding because he's drunk, but he wasn't. This was a complete conscious decision to do one of the dumbest things he's ever done in his life.
Yeah, but I think if he was under the influence, it would be way more damning.
It would be more damning, but it would also be more understandable because you'd understand that, hey, he wasn't in his right head. I agree with you. It would be more damning.
Yeah, it would be way more damning.
I would have some understanding of it at least. I don't have an understanding of this. I'm like, you think you're not going to get caught?
Well, somebody likes to drive fast. Somebody likes to drive fast when I'm alone.
I hear you. I'm the same way, brother. Trust
I can understand it. And I know I've sped up but again, we were talking during the break. It's all underscored by the fact that the difference is the interstate versus, city streets. I've had a couple of instances where I've decided to speed up so I can hit an exit ramp quicker and duck into.
Hey, we've all done that stuff. That's not
Cracker Barrel in Hobart to evade getting a ticket.
What's coming up next for you, man?
AAU, man, it's full blown this weekend. This is the first
already
period. Yeah, this is the first open period in April that we've had since 2019 because of COVID. So I've got a group of 17-year-old kids, and I think the only reason why I would say that at this point is because I've had to tell them that they've not had any April exposure. Normally, we would have had 5 or 6 coaches at a lot of our games in April. The last 2 years ago when they were freshmen, and last year it would have grown a little bit. Nothing, and because they weren't allowed out. And right now, we're going to be playing up in or here in Indianapolis at the NY2LA circuit, which is the the best independent circuit in, as far as basketball goes, in the country. And we're gonna have a lot of coaches at our games, and our kids are gonna get a chance to play, in front of people and start to make their way from a recruiting standpoint. And it's going to be a little culture shock for some of them, because gyms have been pretty empty up to this point, and especially included the transfer portal. Well, more schools are recruiting 1 year at a time. This is going to be a big month for a lot of kids, especially a lot of a lot of juniors.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season to continue to see how the transfer portal affects a lot of these seniors. I think we're seeing more and more a lot of these guys, and smartly, just choose the mid-major route, route, and hone your skills. And there's going to be a hole for you somewhere.
Well, I'm a big believer in fit. And again, we're also blessed, as we touched on earlier, that there are a lot of Division I opportunities in Indiana, a lot of Division I opportunities in the Midwest, and the NAIA schools. It's the best league in the country from an NAIA level. And, even the ones that aren't in that league, like IU Kokomo, IU East, have been very successful lately. There's just a lot of opportunities for these guys to play in college, and GLVC teams that are in the Midwest, especially Indianapolis at the Division II level, are opportunities as well too. So looking forward to it. These kids are going to get an experience that I've been telling them about for 3 years, and that we kind of promised them when they were in 7th grade, when we put this team together, and COVID kind of destroyed a lot of it. And so now we're just kind of getting caught back up and looking forward to getting going.
I saw some. Oh yeah, are you familiar with Malik Raynow, teammate James?
No.
Jalen Hood Shafino teammate. Yeah, plays on Mount Verity.
Out of state guys, I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
I've never seen Jalen. I've never seen Shafino play.
Right, he had committed to Florida, but he's a very, 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 very someone in demand, and IU is in pretty damn good shape for him. So that looks good. Kenneth pointing out Banchero for Duke had a reckless driving this winter. It must have been the difference between beating UNC Saturday or not. I don't know about that, but there you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it that far.
Jason says Fife and now Mata makes him wonder if there's more to this. No, look, my thing on Thad Mata, the Thad Mata hire, that was just a make right, in my opinion. That because he was not going to be able to take the head coaching job because of his physical health, and so that they wanted to do something for him. I think that that was just something very nice for them, and it thought it may help with Woodson's transition, I guess. But regardless of that, we're out of time, man. I can't believe it. Right, Keegan?
Mm-hmm. We're over.
Where we at?
Man of many words, Keegan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't tell me. We're almost 2 minutes over. Man, they're going to love us.
I put wrap it up on the screen twice. 5 times, and you replaced it with a comment.
You can't. Okay, that's 4 times too many. After the first time, just come on and say, "Hey, we're over." Okay. So apologize for that to the folks in Evansville. We went over a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. But I hope you guys have a great day. Big thanks to Charlie Miller, of course. To Keegan as well as always, and to Jim Reamer. It's been a fun day. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. We're going to keep on all these stories, and we'll be back to talk about them again tomorrow. Jimbo, I hope you have a good week.
Will do, man. Thanks. You too.
You bet. And this is going to wrap it up. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.